Hey everyone, it's great to see you. Welcome to the rant today. We're going to talk about a few integrated things that are heavily reliant on mining. That comes from both BID and from Tesla, as well as news out of Ontario, and just kind of chat about what that what it hopefully means and where things are going. And we certainly see that things are ramping up as far as building out and robots and whatnot. That seems to be the big sorry that. That is a big focus right now, and tying that together with Tesla is you come back to rare earths. Rare earths tend to be geopolitically a good focal point for people to discuss because it's a lot of that is produced. The magnets that are required for your electric vehicles are produced in China, but people think, oh, it's just one component. Most things are produced in China. So that's why there's such a huge demand to onshore business again, and especially the critical ones. And when we're talking, beyond Tesla and electric vehicles, and we'll talk about BID here as well, we're also talking about the robot factor, which the agility and movement of the arms, whether you're talking about the humanoid robots or even the giant Optimus type robots, that's a lot of rare earth material that's in there as well. And it just shows that the nuance of critical ingredients needed in all of these technologies moving forward. And the final realization at the highest of levels that behind the scenes for decades, counterparties had been building huge businesses of producing all of these critical elements to bake our cakes. All the ingredients. They've been stockpiling them, producing them, and building up their own reserves. And that's fine. That's what every country should do. They should look out for their own interest, and they should be doing things like that. I would have, argued, or certainly on the side for the last decades, that Canada should have been doing that for a long time and hasn't. But maybe, I'm being very optimistic here. Maybe we are doing that now. So let's see if we can tie some of this together a bit more here. And we'll cover about the BID thing as well, because it's interesting, because there is a very large final realization too that perhaps maybe going hybrid is a better solution than going all electric right off the bat. So BID has pivoted, and they're going PHEV or PHEV, so plug-in hybrid versions moving forward, using LFP batteries still, which that ties into our like for LFP producers, and certainly one here in Canada that has a great opportunity. They're going to need these LFP batteries in robots as well, more than likely. That seems to be the basis of which moving forward they're building. There could be all types, though. Once again, it depends whatever tool for the toolbox, and of course, because of the scarcity of a lot of metals and a lot of critical metals, people are going to have to pivot, and they're going to have to find solutions that may not be optimal. They may be a bit pricier. They may be this or that. And that, once again, is full front and center in the conversation now, that people are starting to pay a bit more attention to and realize, listen, we just took it for granted that you could just go mine. Just going mining is very difficult to have that conversation with a lot of people. The average person, I think, is coming around to some degree. It really is just more of the zealot type side, the person who has really bought into an ideology. If you're committed to it and you've given your heart and soul to it, kudos. That's great for you. You're going to have a hard time coming to the rationality of the need for all these things to build all the solutions that you may want. And that's not our fight. My job isn't to try to convince those people on that side. My job is to convince the average person that you can make a difference, and you can invest in projects that are going to meet our energy demands and meet clean initiatives. And you could do that with making money. I really, that's it at the end of the day. It doesn't have to be more complex than that. If someone isn't providing solutions like that, then I'm a bit more worried. Whenever it is, listen, we're not going to extract anything. We're going to let someone else do it. But we have all the resources here. That makes me worried. We should want people in Canada to get behind the idea that we're an extractive nation. We have a skill set in it. We have a long history of doing it properly and well, and we need to cut down all the red tape to get it done. And on that note, We see that Ontario has come out with a $500 million fund. Now, once again, this we can look at this in a number of different ways, but at least there's a recognition from them that they need to have a fund here in order to meet the processing needs moving forward. 500 million isn't a lot of money, but it's pretty good. So for them to set aside $500 million to say, we recognize the fact that Ontario needs to be really in the future of processing, that's a huge acknowledgement. It's a significant step for the mining sector, but Ontario specifically, because they really want to engage the Ring of Fire. A lot of nickel up there. There's some copper. There's cobalt. There's lots of gold as well. But this gives Ontario a lot of resilience. It gives them that supply chain vertical integration of getting key ingredients to a battery maker in Ontario or to a car maker in Ontario. And whether you're doing a plug-in hybrid, you still need a lot of critical metals and components, or you go full electric. Either way, it still requires kilos of this stuff per car. And it's wonderful to see that Canada realizes we have to mine, we should mine, but not only that, we need to start investing in processing so that we get this done here on our own soil and get it to the companies that we want to support. I mean, it really isn't rocket science. It's not very difficult to understand. Unfortunately, because the politics part where there's a lot of fear mongering as to, oh, we shouldn't do industry. We should do it somewhere else where we don't pay attention to it or we don't see it. No. We want to have it here and we want to see it and we want to keep eyes on it so that we're doing it properly. We're doing it cleanly and efficiently, and we keep good regulations on people doing it. And we have a really key moment in history to show the world that we can do things well and properly and mitigate risk and produce all of the solutions that we want. So this is a big, this should hopefully send a signal to investors in the world that Canada is on the right path. I would say a big roadblock is that the federal government isn't putting together a plan. They're not going to do anything until the fall. That's challenging because you would have hoped that there would have been a plan to put forth to prosperity. So it delays things a little bit longer. But we remain optimistic here. People might say that's delusional, but it's easier, I think, to wake up in the morning and be a little hopeful that perhaps this government will have to come to terms with reality sooner or later than to continue pursuing failure, the progressive ideology that they have of no extraction, talk about it, set up funds that don't actually place money or extract anything, and then not encourage any foreign investment. And like him or hate him, Trump's raised something like $3.5 trillion from foreign investment into the U.S. We need someone to do that for Canada. And the way to do that, you go out, make deals, you make Canada attractive, you encourage miners to come to Canada, go, we're going to get permitting done fast, we're going to get done quickly, and the stakeholders will have a say, but they're not going to have final say on projects because this is critical. This is important for the world. And the best way to show that is by, backing it with money, backing it with efficiency, and getting things done. So this is actually a great, it's a great first step because once again, me being a naysayer is Canada on a federal level has set up funds that were supposed to go to exploration and to mining companies, and they really haven't done much with it. And the fear is that they set up another fund in which they do studies and they hire more bureaucrats and academics to have discussions and roundtables and forums and do nothing. And that is unfortunately often what happens with certain styles of government and political ideologies in which the goal isn't to actually do anything. It's to just study things internally and forever, whilst virtue signaling that you're part of the process. We need to be more in the realm of let's produce solutions, produce companies, and light a fire underneath our population to get out there and make a difference. And that's possible as well. I know we have to talk about politics to some degree here because that's what stops extraction in the West. that's flat out it. If we have someone on side from the left leaning side that then convinces our state run media to promote the idea that we can extract things fairly and well and create wealth for the country, we would be sitting in a very different situation economically, and we would have tons of jobs. Things would look very bright, and that can't happen. And I think I think it's possible. I think the pragmatic side of someone who is intelligent, like a Mark Carney, regardless of his ideology and his beliefs, he does have a finance background. He does understand the economy, and if he wants to have a win here in Canada, if that's his goal, it's there to be had. So, once again, some people may say that's very naive, but I'd rather live in that naive part than always focus on the negative. I'm very well aware of the negative, but I'll remain hopeful that maybe something can come and that maybe reason will help, and we'll have a run here that is a big benefit to the whole country. And like always, we like to frame these things in kind of interesting ways, tying in all of these bigger macro discussions, whether it's with gold or silver or energy and at all. We want to talk about the robots, robo-taxi. We see even with Tesla that in I think Austin, Texas, they'll in just a couple of weeks they're going to have their robo-taxis running. That's pretty wild. I mean, that's the future happening very quickly. And that's a big deal for Tesla, but it's also a big deal for what the world can look like in 5 years. And seeing that technology and seeing how efficiently that could run and how that would affect all of us is really it's pretty cool. It's pretty neat. And that doesn't change the backstory of you still have to produce all of these cars. You still have to produce all of these robots. And that is going to require a ton of metal. And a lot of people are looking at copper now. They're paying a lot of attention on the desperate need for copper and new projects. And that's a very serious issue as well. If I can just pull up a quick article that we did here, bear with me. 1 second, let me pull up the right one. A lot of people are focused, obviously, on gold. There's a huge opportunity with gold, but they recognize the fact that copper has a huge future here. And I think it's by 2035. I think it requires, $2 trillion of investment in order to meet the demands of our growing electric grid or any kind of movement. And we wrote this article. It was called a tipping point for copper. So they're expected the consumption to double by 2035. So think 50 million tons a year, enough to build 600 million EVs. At the same time, average ore grade has dropped 40% since 1991. Not a ton of discoveries. There's some good ones, though. There are some good ones. There are some that are hopefully coming online soon, but it's not enough. We're looking at $1 trillion supply problem. Bloomberg NEF forecasts 2.1 trillion of new investment will be needed by 2050. 2050 is way far off. It's hard to get excited about that, but that does give a bit of a sense of the ongoing desperate need we have for copper moving forward. And if we can get better solutions and acknowledgement, especially here in Canada, in the West in general, as to how we can get at and extract those properly and efficiently, we can meet those goals. We can meet it. If we continue down the path we have for the past decade, we're not. It's a guarantee. Or the likes of someone like a China or an India who will not follow the same path, will start mining elsewhere and raise money and be funded either privately or Eastern countries will fund them, and we'll be left out. So, do we want to be left out of the energy revolution? I don't think so. I don't think it's smart. On that as well, we've always looked at a lot of these, like arsenic cleaning pools and microbiology type of plays that you could look at extracting resources from some toxic or unviable chemicals and unviable pools of waste. And one company called Endolith popped into our radar because they're partnering with BHP, part of one of their innovation arms. And it's called Think and Act Differently, or TAD. And the industry accelerator called Unearthed, they're testing an engineered microbial platform on low-grade sulfide ore under real-world conditions. Results were staggering. Faster, more complete copper recovery from ores previously labeled uneconomic or written off as waste. This is big. If you have a solution that is a microbiome type of thing that goes into low-grade sulfide, ore, and makes it viable, that's a big deal that they could go into, like, pools that are just kind of stagnant that have been sitting there. I envision that it's a movable type of facility that you could truck, drop off, do on process on site, or maybe it is you have to take the ore and process it somewhere else. I don't know, but I see this as being a very interesting bioleaching system that uses no toxic chemicals. So that is a win for environmentalists. They don't see all the toxic stuff, and a huge win to extract wealth on possibly even a defunct mine, or like a junior who says, hey, well, we've got a load sitting here that's worth XYZ. If we could process it sooner than later, that gets us up and running, and perhaps gives us like an offtake type style of funding where we don't have to go to the markets quite as much. So this is a very interesting sector that's being developed. Obviously not as glamorous because it's much more nuanced. And there's plenty of companies. I knew some guys that were working in Vancouver on private companies that were doing something very similar and having success with it as well. And there are partner projects out there where people are working with bigger name companies to show them, maybe not at scale, but at reasonable sizes, that, listen, this is what we can do. And that could be a big game changer. And that's what we need to see. Because if you can find a cleaner leaching ability, not only does it, I don't mean to say it makes environmentalists happy, it should make everyone happy. If we don't have to use a lot of chemicals, that makes me happy on all fronts. And I would say I'm definitely environmentally friendly. I wouldn't say I'm the tree hugger type, but I love the environment. And if we can do something cleaner, I'm all for it. And I always like to remind people that that's the case with almost every single president, CEO of a mining company that I've spoken with. And it isn't that they're just making lip service. They love to go hiking. A lot of them live in BC. A lot of them, are out in country and up north. They love it. They like being out in the environment. Their goal isn't to harm it. That isn't the goal. I mean, that's the kind of the meme for a movie, because it's easy then to pitch an idea that these are terrible capitalists destroying the world. That is a prepackaged trope meme that's out there, but it isn't the reality of what mining looks like today. So this matters because there's a ton of, as I kind of alluding to, a ton of like legacy mines that could be unlocked, from waste to a lot of value. And not only is that a good thing, that has a very good ESG component. It also has a very good grant type of funding from the federal government to say, listen, we can go into some of these old toxic sludge ponds and we'll clean them up for you. That's a win-win, and we'll clean them up, and we're also going to make some money off it. It's great. So that innovation is the type of stuff that once again, it's the far-reaching aspects of unlocking chemistry and biotechnology into the world of mining. And that's exciting. And, these are the stories we like to cover. Whether or not Endolith is a great company or not, I've got no opinion. I didn't look into the board of what they're doing. I just looked into that they've partnered with BHP, that they're having some success. And these types of stories, people need to know about, because it shows that a big partner like BHP has that much interest in finding solutions that are, and not just because they're clean and they're green, but because they make sense. If we don't have to use chemicals, we can use organic and natural type things and get this result, and we get a win. We get sulfides that we would have said were just waste and that just stockpiled as basically garbage and waste, and that now has an economic value. That's a huge win, and that shows how incredible, when we put our minds to things in innovation, how there can be many wins down the road. So anyways, everyone, I'm going to keep today a bit short here because there's a lot happening. There's a lot going on. And, we see a lot of deal making down south. And a lot of it, if you focus on the Middle East, a lot of it is around critical metals. And that's very positive because, of course, that's oil and gas world, right? But they are very well aware that they want to be part of the future story of energy as well. We know that Quebec is on that path. They see themselves as having a bright future with critical metals, with being a supply chain, the future for the electric idea. Alberta certainly has it's the legacy oil and gas, which we're going to use for as long as my lifetime, whether or not people like that or not, or agree with it or not. Oil is in everything. It just is. If you're talking robots, you still need all the oil for the robots, by the way, to keep parts moving. We may not use as much, right? But I suspect that's not true either, because I think that you'll have solutions for different parts of the world, and that's fine. But we are still striving to find better innovation and better solutions together with a global consciousness at heart. But if we can really unlock the innovation and the genius that's here in the West to do that, but also create enough value of getting it out of the ground, then we can make the population quite wealthy. And really, Canada, they need to do that right now. I think that people can deal with a lot of ideology and on both sides, whether you think one's totally crazy or nuts. If you get a better economy, people can put up with a lot. So let's hope that we see here in Canada fairly soon some sort of plan that involves extraction, that involves utilizing the wealth that we have. And because most time people think, well, you're talking extraction, you're just talking oil and gas, which means Alberta. No. It could be hydrogen. There's tons of oil and gas in BC. We can talk hydrogen as well. There's hydrogen fields out far east as well. You could set up a port there that could deliver and pipelines out to ports that could go to likes of Germany, that could go to Europe and feed that system, and not just energy, oil and gas, but it could be a critical metal supply chain as well. That's what we should be looking to do and stamp Canada as truly a global energy superpower. And we should all want that. I mean, that would be great. Imagine the position we'd be in Canada to rise up to that challenge. We certainly, as a population, have it in us. Let's see if our government unleashes us and allows us to meet that, because all it takes is that the foreign investor community and the rest of the world to see Canada's open for business. They're interested in partnering with us. They want to develop these things. And if they see that, the money will flow in. If they don't see that, like for the last decade, they haven't wanted to invest. No money's come in, and they're going to wait and see. So let's hope that we all get that message to all the people that need to hear it. Maybe it is just your MLA. Maybe it's just someone in government. Write them and say, listen, let's light this. Let's start the ignition on our economy and get going. And really, instead of just virtue signaling, be the key component in driving this forward. Anyways, enough of my rant for today, everyone. It's great to see you all again and to chat with you. Keep sending on the messages. We'll cover things that you like. It's tough for a lot of people because we've been in this space waiting for the real markets to run. We're still not there yet, although there are fantastic projects out there that have stored up value that we're very excited about. The big run isn't here, but sooner or later it has to come. And if it isn't in Canada, if Canada decides that they're not going to be part of it, it will be elsewhere. And there will be mining companies that are going to do exceptionally well, that are going to get permits, like Argentina. They're open for business. They want to mine. There will be projects that are going to do exceptionally well. And we're going to be here to talk about them, to cover them, and to maximize profit for people that have an interest in the overall story and narrative that we cover, but also on just, hey, listen, finding opportunities out there to make some money for people and tell that story. So everyone, enjoy your day. We'll talk to you real soon, and have a good rest of the week.